All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Sunday, March 29th, and I got a couple requests on my Instagram. Well, I should not be wheeling this around. Got a couple requests on my Instagram about doing some meal prep videos and some different tips and tricks. So I'm going to show you guys basically how to make the tastiest, most macro-friendly chicken breast ever. Chicken breast is always the one that everybody hates. It's always the one that either comes out dry or flavorless. Like, you don't hear people complaining about beef or turkey or salmon as much. It's really chicken that everybody complains about. So as you see, I have a cast of characters right here as far as seasonings go. So this is going to be your best friend. This is the G. Hughes sugar-free barbecue sauce. I use the hickory flavor, but there's a couple different ones. No affiliation with them. This just tastes great. I've been using this for years. And some products I know give people trouble when it comes to artificial sweeteners, and myself included. I know certain products like the Walden Farm products I can't use because they do give me a lot of gastrointestinal discomfort. But I do find with the G. Hughes that it doesn't present a problem at all. And you'll see, actually, I mean, we use a lot in the marinating container itself, but as far as like a per chicken breast or per serving, you would say, you don't actually use that much sauce. And then just your regular dry seasonings. I know a lot of people in the bodybuilding world sometimes are scared of seasonings, and I don't know if that's just because there's a lack of education on cooking and seasoning. Or if it's just like, I can't have salt or things like that. Salt, especially from a bodybuilding standpoint, is a good friend of yours. It'll help with muscular contraction, pumps. I use the Himalayan pink just because of the good minerals inside of it. And then salt and pepper you can use to taste. And all these other seasonings, I mean, you could interchange out whatever you want. I like my food to taste really good, and I like a lot of flavor. So you'll see some garlic powder, some onion powder, dried oregano, paprika. You could use a smoked paprika, you could use cumin, turmeric. I mean, you can really use any dried spice you want. Cayenne pepper if you want things a little bit more spicy. So you can really use whatever you want. So we're gonna put a layer of seasoning in the marinating container, and then I'm gonna show you guys kind of how to deconstruct the chicken itself. So. All right, so that is round one of making a mess with your seasonings. Big thing with chicken breasts, especially, marinate, marinate, marinate. Now, I'm only doing this a couple hours out, but you could really do this the night before, pop it in the container with all the seasonings, and it'll just, let everything, get inside the chicken breast, make it more tender and taste better. But a couple hours will do just fine if you're preparing it the day out. So how I usually like to do it, just for the amount of chicken that we use, I'll put a layer of all the seasonings, a layer of chicken, layer of all the seasonings, chicken, and then seasonings again. Chicken, and then seasonings again. Chicken, and then seasonings again. Just so everything can kind of, sit in there nice. So, a couple cooking tips for you guys, so that you don't hurt yourselves. So, if you have wood on wood, like we do cutting board wise, if you don't have one of the cutting boards with the rubber stoppers, if you just take a paper towel and damp it ever so slightly, and then just wring it out and lay it on your board, now your cutting board won't slide. So, for example, if I was to cut on this is going to slide all over the place, and I'm probably going to hurt myself because this is a very sharp knife. So lay your wet paper towel down, throw your cutting board on top, and now it doesn't really move anywhere. So moving on to the chicken itself, what we're going to do is actually kind of fillet it a little bit. Now, I like to do this for a couple reasons. One, to trim off if there is a lot of fat or membranes or just nastiness on there, we can trim that off. And one thing what we were doing before is we were buying the thin cutlets, because the thin is going to grill up a lot better, or with whatever you're cooking. If you use really thick cuts of chicken, sometimes the outside will be seared to your liking, but the inside's not done, so then you have to cook it too long to dry it out, and it's really hard to time. So using the thin breast cutlets is a lot easier, but it's more expensive to buy them already chopped up. So best way to do it value-wise is to just buy regular chicken breasts and then fillet them up yourself. Now this one's already pretty thin all by himself, so I'm probably he's just gonna go right in the pool. He can go. So what we can do now is we can make our cuts uniform based off of the pieces that we give us. So this white fatty section here, I'll go ahead and trim that off. Keep your trash can handy so you're not throwing it across the room. Then that would just be more mess to clean up later. So what I'll do some of the times is, you know, if there's a thinner section, I'll take that off. And then with like a bigger piece like this, I'll put my palm on top of that and then just kind of slice through the middle. And then what you can either do is just fold it back, and that would be filleting the piece, or you can cut it in half and make 2 smaller pieces. Whatever really works for you. I mean, I'm throwing this all on the grill at the same time, so it really doesn't matter. More or less when you're grilling and cooking meats like that, you want them to be similar levels of thickness, so that they all kind of cook evenly. You don't want, you know, a piece this thick, you know, and then a piece this thin on the grill at the same time. It just wouldn't really add up well. So I'm going to get to work filleting all this, and then I will come back and show you guys the finished product once it's all done marinating. All right, y'all, here is the finished product of the marinated chicken. So again, as I had layers wise, just with the size of the container and the amount of chicken that I had, seasoning, chicken, seasoning, chicken, seasoning. You can lay it with whatever size container you have to marinate or however much chicken you have to make. You just don't want too many overlapping pieces because you obviously want everything to be coated up. So I'm gonna pop a lid on this. Now, if you are marinating the day ahead of time, obviously, you know, pop this back in the fridge. But then before you take it to the outdoor grill, or if you're grilling inside or pan searing it, baking it, wherever cooking method, we're gonna grill ours today. So when I come back, I'll take you guys out to the grill. But whatever cooking method you are going to use, make sure you take it out of the fridge about 30 to 60 minutes ahead of time before you cook it, because you don't want to put cold meat right onto a hot surface. The problem with that is, since it's cold all the way through, it's not going to cook evenly. So you will completely sear the outside, but the inside won't be cooked. And obviously with chicken, we can't have that because, you know, then we're going to eat raw chicken and get food poisoning and not be happy campers. So give your container a little shake. I'm going to leave mine out just because I'll probably be grilling it in about an hour or so it won't matter, but make sure it's close to room temp before you throw it on the grill. And speaking of the grill, that's the next place we're going to check in from. So I'll talk to you guys then. All right, so I already flipped them once. Let's take a peek. And that is looking delicious. You could very easily take the same recipe and bake it. So yeah, I mean, you can really, you know, cook it any method you like, but it will come out best on the grill. Now I'm gonna put the camera down because I am right-handed. So you seeing me try to flip this with my left hand is not going too well. So I'm gonna flip these bad boys. They're almost done. And I'll check back in with you guys when we have the full meal prep spread out on the table. All right, everybody, here is the full spread of meal prep that we have going on today. Now, obviously, this is not everything that we eat during the week. This is mainly just for lunches and dinners. We got in the habit of doing this because we both are, you know, very busy people. I'm a gym owner. Nicole's a teacher. So we don't exactly have time to be doing cooking of lunches and dinners, you know, every single night. So we got in the habit of doing this kind of stuff, cooking in bulk, and it really does save us a lot of time, and it takes the you know, stress of, you know, figuring out what you're going to eat for the week, you know, out of the equation. So taking you around the table, so a lot of stuff in pans. So I guess I'll just start right from here. So a lot of the veggies that I eat is kind of a vegetable saute mixture. So I saute up some onions and mushrooms for flavor and throw that in with some asparagus. Find that just the onions and mushrooms give it a lot more flavor than as opposed to just eating plain green vegetables. And the onions and mushrooms are pretty much negligible calorically speaking. So it adds a lot of flavor just for nothing really. And then you'll see with the other vegetables we have going on, I like to roast them in the oven just because you're gonna get, again, a lot more flavor out of things rather than like, you know, what a lot of people do with vegetables is either like steaming them or, you know, boiled vegetables. I mean, it doesn't really add a lot of flavor to things. And we buy a lot of our stuff in bulk too, so that's where it's a good money saver. If you're buying bags of frozen vegetables, that's okay, and then steaming those. But you really do get a lot of bang for your buck if you know, buy big bags of things from like, you know, BJ's or Costco, your big box stores like that, Sam's Club. You can save a lot of money that way. So broccoli, zucchini, and sweet potatoes all roasted off in the oven. With these, just seasoning with salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. You could use fresh garlic too, doesn't matter. And these are like crack, honestly. Roasted them up with a little bit of sea salt and some Saigon cinnamon. They come out perfect every time. They get a little caramelization on them from the natural sugars in the sweet potato themselves, and they're just absolutely delicious. Love them. So, other carb source that I like to use, obviously, is rice. People say brown rice, white rice, which kind of rice to use. honestly doesn't matter. You know, the whole thing of brown rice, a lot of people say it's lower on the glycemic index, but the glycemic index only takes into account if you eat the carbohydrate by itself. So obviously I'm not just going to sit here and eat rice plain by itself. I'm going to pair it with a protein source and a vegetable, which pretty much, you know, neutralizes the glycemic index for what we need it for. So find a rice that you like, that's going to taste best to you. I use jasmine rice just because I like the texture and I like the consistency. And that's just rice and water. You gotta make it pretty simple. You could use a rice cooker, but I just kind of boil it up. And then onto the protein sources. You guys saw the chicken already. Obviously came out grilled, but like I said, you could bake that, you could cook it any way you like. And then we just have some ground turkey that I basically pan sear, just with some different spices, you know, salt, pepper, garlic, some onion. I actually use smoked paprika with the turkey just to give it a nice flavor. And then basically we'll kind of, you know, you can mix and match your pairings. I pair the chicken with the sweet potato because I like the barbecue with the sweet flavor, and I do the turkey with the rice. You could flip-flop it. You could do anything you like there. Obviously with the sweet potato, you could sub that out for white potato, red potato, any kind of potato you like. I already told you could swap out the rice. And these vegetables, you can interchange them for any vegetables you like. The cooking methods are going to be generally the same across the board. So find the things you like, and then find the different seasonings you like, and then just try things. I mean, don't be afraid to screw up in the kitchen. That's one, I guess, biggest cooking advice that I can give is don't be afraid to make mistakes in the kitchen. Trust me, I've batch prepped a lot of things, and it came out less than favorable. So you learn in the kitchen through trial and error. So don't be afraid to screw it up, and then you'll find a system that works for you. So we're gonna get this all packed up into containers. Talk to you guys later. All right, so last topic I'm going to touch on for this whole meal prep video is the question of weighing your meats raw versus weighing them cooked. And I know this is an often misunderstood topic, you know, within the fitness industry and meal prep and things like that. So I'm going to give you my, you know, bread and butter basics on weighing things raw versus cooked. So a couple things to note with that one. One, as far as weighing raw versus cooked, find what works best for your system. Since we, as you just saw, we bulk prep everything, and then it's just easier for us to weigh things cooked. Now, leads me right into my second point is make sure when you're tracking your macronutrients for, you know, raw versus cooked, make sure you just select the right measurement. So if you are on MyFitnessPal or My Macros, or even if you just Google the macros for something, you can, you know, make sure you're Googling, if you're weighing it cooked, macros in cooked chicken breast, in cooked turkey, in cooked ground beef. So just make sure you select the right one. There's nothing wrong with weighing it raw. People will argue that weighing it raw is a little bit more accurate because it's in its most natural form, but some people will argue that weighing it cooked is more accurate because that's what you're actually consuming. And it, like I said, it doesn't really matter as long as you're just tracking one or the other, and just make sure you're using the right form of measurement. And then my third point to all that is just being consistent. So once you find what works for your schedule and works for your, you know, system that you have in place, and that you've selected the right measurement, don't change it. Don't go from weighing it cooked one week to weighing it raw the next week, to cooked to raw to cooked to raw. If you're gonna weigh things cooked, weigh them cooked all the time. If you're gonna weigh them raw all the time. You know, as far as your meats go, especially, and it just makes you stay consistent with whatever you do. Because once your body kind of adapts to a consistent way of doing things, it's gonna stay adapted to that. So I've been weighing my meats cooked the entire time, so I don't plan on changing that anytime soon. So hope that little bit helps. If you guys have any other nutrition or fitness questions, please feel free to leave comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'm gonna go help Nicole put all that food away. And yeah, I will talk to you guys in the next video.